That's that real talk. It's time to heal. Nothing but the truth. We got that real talk. That's that real talk. It's time to heal. Nothing but the truth. We got that real talk.
Welcome to the Real Talk Mentor Show. I just want to give thanks really because we've been doing this on a real ad hoc basis, but now there's a show, there's a forum for young people to express, to articulate, just to really give their views about real live issues. And that's why we're called Real Talk. We're going raw, we're going real, we're going deep. And I just want to before I introduce my co-host or co-panel, just to give you a little snippet about what we're all about. So we're a platform where young people can come and talk and see how we can join this gap, this generation gap. So when we talk about intergenerational healing, it means we're having young people connecting back with elder people. So there's a bridge that's been built. And then we can relate to the real live issues that are affecting community today. Because, people talk about all the symptomatic stuff, but we're talking about foundational stuff. We want to go deep and go raw. So before I talk too much, introduce myself. My name's Shola. My panel or co-panel hosts, I'm sure they'll have no problem in talking about themselves. So first up, Jade. Can you just give us a talk about who you are and why you've been drawn to this platform?
Yeah, well, like you said, my name's Jade. From South London side. I'm just drawn towards this project, I would say, because especially with this whole COVID thing, I think it's given us time to kind of sit down and really think about what's going on here. That not just the COVID, but there's a lot of things that's been going on within the society, and I think young people are the ones that have been suffering,
Okay.
And, I think, I'm just drawn towards it. And I've recently, not long, had a child myself. She's young, and then I know that she's going to be, one day she's going to be an adult herself. Do you get what I mean? And she's going to be in a community, in a society that, the way things are going, or have been going, it's worrying for me. So I just think I would want to be a part of something where we can, set a foundation for young people and, put a positive approach to everything that's going on.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah. Because that's how we started off, isn't it? I mean, a few months ago we were talking about all this COVID. I don't even like to use the name too much, but it's actually been a kind of blessing because, as you rightly said, it's made people be still. It's made people focus. It's made people sort of just sit and zone in, yeah? And I remember you were one of the kind of key people instrumental, because remember we used to do a Zoom platform, didn't we? And that's why I was giving thanks at the beginning, because it's now sort of blown up into a situation like this where we've got a set and we can really take this thing out global, because your views matter as a young mother, really matter in terms of laying a foundation and laying something for your daughter to grow up and have a legacy, isn't it? It's all about building a legacy. So good points you brought up there. Okay, we're going to still come back to you, but I'll just cross over now to another co-host of ours, smiling man, Mr. Karma. I'd like to introduce yourself, please.
So I'm Karma from Karma's World. Karma's World is a brand that I'm trying to build and establish. I'm 30 years old, from South London, and I am a motivational speaker as well as small scale music management, and trying to also establish my little modelling agency that I've got at the minute.
Brilliant. Yeah. You see, I can see you're a natural, man. You're not shy coming forward, are you? See? So, no, but this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about really trying to raise the profile of young people, giving you the confidence, giving the platform. This is what we're all about, just a platform for people like yourself to express, and then motivate other people. So in actual fact, you're what we call a peer mentor. A lot of people don't know what a peer mentor is, but it's about paying it forward to younger people coming up. And that's why we're here today, yeah? So this is the whole thing.
100%.
I'm gonna move swiftly over, not swiftly, but to our elegant Monique.
Hi guys, my name's Source. I go by the name of Source.
Okay.
I'm a freelance videographer, 22 from South East London. I really agree with what Real Talk's trying to do, empowering the youth, and this is something I want to be involved with.
Brilliant.
I'm actually the youngest of two siblings, two older siblings, and even just understanding that the way that they've been brought up, you can't teach old values, to new generations. So I think it will be important to connect with the youth and put out some information that will hopefully be beneficial for them.
Definitely. Listen, I'm just excited. I mean, I'm just heard from you so far. Look, what you said there about giving information to young people to bring them up. Because look, you are the future generation. And sometimes we just use this word because it sounds good. It's just like a quip, but it's real, isn't it?
Yeah.
This generation is yours, and we're believing that we need to, as I said before, we need to join this gap, this communication gap, because we've dropped the ball in so many areas, in terms of listening, taking note of what young people are saying, because all your points are valid and real. So we're still going to come back to Source. Yes, last but not least.
Hi, I'm Ali, aka Calm Aggression. I'm from East London. I'm a young father. Well, not that young, but I'm a young father. I'm trying to set up a social enterprise at the moment, which helps black men in the community, basically come together and talk about their issues, their problems, just trying to heal men. Basically, there's a lot of men that go through stuff and don't feel like they can open up or talk about their issues or problems. So that's something in the pipeline that I'm trying to set up. I'm also an artist, but right now, that's it. Sean.
Brilliant. No, that's fine. I mean, again, Karma, not Karma, sorry, Ali. We were talking initially, weren't we? We were doing a few slots on Zoom.
On Zoom.
Yeah. So this is family. This is like family here today because, there's no shyness. We've talked issues, haven't we? I mean, one of the things what I really loved about Ali's link up was the fact, he messaged. I'll just say that he messaged me one night, late night, and I don't normally answer certain messages in the night. And I saw this thing coming up about men's healing, and I was like, wow! I had to respond straight away because it's something that's so much needed. And so, again, the projects that we all have here, they all make sense. No, they all link up. So anyone watching this, look, this is the platform to come, express yourself. Whatever plans, projects are on the table. We can find ways to put them out there on a global basis. So they're elevated and they're put in people's minds to be able to excel themselves. Yeah. So okay, look, we're having a good chat today. It's Black History Month. I thought let's jump on that topic first off. But I personally don't tune into Black History Month. I just want to lay this out. I don't really tune into it because it's like, well, our heritage is so rich and it's so real and it's so vast. A month's not enough, is it?
No.
We need much more than that, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
And so we thought it'd be good for this particular set now to sort of discuss it, have a word about it and see how we're going to take this forward. What's the solution? Even though we're saying, look, this is real talk, we don't want to be just talking and, just running this same thing over and over again and turning it over. Yeah. We want solutions, So we're talking about intergenerational solutions, providing those ways forward. So what would you say then the way forward is to change this mindset of just looking at 1 month?
Personally, for me, I'd say it's not like for us to complain that we only have 1 month. That's my own personal views. I just feel like with that month, we should use that month, utilize it. Yeah. That's the first thing. And then secondly, every other day that it's not Black History Month, use our times actively to make others aware of who we are and what our culture is. So,
yeah, that's
which
true.
is what we're doing now.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Kind of starting point.
Exactly.
I think, we should be looking into having a black curriculum in schools.
Definitely.
Because I think that will, give young people more of a feeling of who they are, if you know what I mean. When I was in school, all I knew was that black people were slaves. That's all I saw in the books, and that's all the teacher would basically put across to us is that 400 years ago, there was 400 years of slavery basically, and that's where our ancestors are from. But what happened before that.
That's right.
And then there's a lot we don't know. Do you get what I
That's
mean?
right.
There's a
Yeah.
lot, especially if you're born in this country. You've got your parents are born for like I said with my mum, she's born here. So it's when you're asking questions, it's difficult to get the true answers
Okay.
if your parents are not from anywhere else.
Sure.
If you get what I mean,
Yeah.
like you know, and you have to be like, how do I say? For instance, my dad, he's Nigerian. So,
Okay.
like, he used to say certain things to me, but I wasn't trying to hear it then.
Where's
You
he
get what I
from?
mean?
Where's he from in Nigeria?
Lagos.
Okay.
And I've never been there as well.
Okay.
So already, that's kind of like, you're kind of cutting, you're knowing yourself, if you know what I mean. That's already, you've cut half of it already. So, and I think these are the things that we need to kind of tap into, especially and from young, and don't let children be ashamed of who they really are. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think there's a lot of things where, you know, back in the day we'd have things where, oh, you're African and all of that. Like, what the hell? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. It's you know, that's a good thing. That's actually a good thing. That's you're lucky. You know, but because people don't know themselves, that you know, they feel ashamed because they feel like, okay, my ancestors were slaves. We didn't know anything else before that. Do you know what I mean?
As well though, like with that being said, yeah, I agree with that, but some of the parents that do know who we are, they would also rather you conform to their society. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So
The
even
Western world,
that
innit?
causes a culture clash within yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Why do you? Let me just drop that in because that's a key point. Brilliant points you just brought up there, Jade, as well. I think what I'm tapping into is the identity crisis, if you like, and it is a crisis. And what you just said now, Karma, about the parents wanting the younger ones to tap into a Western society.
Yeah,
You saying that?
100%. Yeah, fact.
Let me just quickly bring something in now, just to kind of validate that, because me coming up, you can see I'm all grey now. I was a young boy once. Yeah, so I'm a little bit grey now, you can see. But I was a young boy at once, yeah. Did wear shorts, socks rolled down and whatnot. And even though I was encouraged about my culture, about the Nigerian culture, our language, Yoruba language, I was never, what's the word for it? I was never sort of pushed or encouraged to speak Yoruba. So we were taught Yoruba in the house, yeah? But it was always this thing, well, if you start to speak it, you're going to get an accent, which is then going to put you in a negative situation in the society. Yeah, and that has obviously affected me all through my life. Now, obviously, I understand my language. I'll speak it in a fragmented way. I can get through, it's not a problem. But the flow of it, which should be there, which you see some other communities able to do, is something that I think that we, to some degree, have lost, as you rightly said. I think hit the nail on the head there.
100%.
And, you know, this is all about identity, isn't it? It's all about building self-esteem. You know, once our self-esteem and our self-worth is handled and it's really grasped, it's then that we move forward, don't we? You wanted to say something, Monique?
Yeah, I was going to say, because relating back to what you said about what's the solution, with what Jade said, it was really important, and I feel like that's what we need to focus on, like going to your parent and asking them, because like you said, when we back in the day was, oh, we're just slaves. That's actually not essentially it. But then I feel like when your parents are born here also, they've tapped into this kind of societal construct whereby they don't even know who they are. So then I think it's actively, like what Karma was saying earlier, what we're doing now, not complaining that we've only got a month, but actually utilising it, having open discussions and conversations. Even myself, I went to a Black Lives Matter event. It was held in Finsbury Park. But even when I looked at the, I bought a newspaper and it actually showed you like Black history. I was literally so shocked. I was like, I didn't even know this myself. But that allowed me to actually tap into it and understand, okay, this is where you've come from, and it's not just, okay, you're just slaves or you were just slaves. But I think it's just parents encouraging and also having that eagerness to learn. A lot of parents, unfortunately, they don't have time, which is understandable. But you need to, especially if you want your child to grow up having that confidence and that vibe and that energy, and knowing that people are going to knock you in this industry, but you just actually have to just.
Can I just pick you on that point? Can I just pick you on that point? I don't want to forget, because that's another brilliant point. Look, you mentioned the time issue.
Yeah.
Because what I'm going to kind of bit of an advocate here. Look, other communities, they have the time. Do you understand what I'm saying? So why do we feel that we don't have the time to let this cultural aspect flow through?
I would say, personally, I think it's over matter. So it's what some parents deem as central to them. Other cultures, per se, like, we've got this ideology that, okay, for example, if you go into like a Jamaican shop, oh, we don't have that. And then it's that. And then other shops, oh, hi there, what would you like? So I think it's just, again, culturally, and then this negative stigma. I think when you associate yourself with people that are actually, for example, confident, energetic, very, driven, that's the kind of mindset you adopt naturally. So I think maybe who are those parents hanging around with back in their day? Look at their circle now, and then actually understanding, instead of it being more so, what's the word, nurture, it's more so environmental. So yeah, I would say it's just maybe looking at the parents, that's how we're going to reshape.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're saying you don't have time, maybe like as a community you switch the narrative. Try and make it more of a fun thing to learn about your heritage and your history, rather than making it so formal when you talk about your history, and maybe that will in tune younger people to want to know more. If you make it a bit more fun, like rather than it being so formal when you're telling. It should
just be a natural thing.
Yeah, it should just be natural.
Course.
It shouldn't just be like so formal with it, because people switch off. So if there's a reason for them to show a keen interest, maybe they'll be more inclined to want to know more about where they come from and certain things like that.
Yeah.
And can I just say, like, I was just thinking also, like, with our parents as well, like where in the 60s and things like that, this whole Windrush thing where people came over to work and stuff like that. And I think with that, I think they tried so hard to fit in to what was going on in this country. Do you know what I mean? So where, like, with the NHS, in the legal system, all of that, like, obviously they probably had accents and stuff like that, and they probably tried their best to get rid of that. So they could fit into the construct that was going on in our environment. So they also, in their mind, maybe unconsciously, they was telling their children, we don't need that. Do you know what I mean? We need to drop that, and we need to fit in with what's going on here, so we can get jobs, so we can buy our house, so we can do all of these things. That
Definitely. I think that's another key point, because I think just even apart from they themselves as parents, I think they would have probably been trying to pay it forward, as in looking at us, the children coming through. Because obviously at the end of the day, all of us want the best for our children, don't we? You don't want our children to start off on the back foot, so to speak, sort of detrimentally. So anything to sort of allay that, anything to push that away, you would more kind of promote. But we've come to a situation now, haven't we, years down the line, where we're seeing that. And we're not applying blame anywhere, we're just acknowledging that something needs to move now, something needs to shift. And I mean, what do you reckon, guys? Look, this year, obviously 2020, been a prolific year. There's been a lot of changes. We know about the different incidents, that have taken place that are now pushing this whole race issue, as it were. And I want to say a piece of the thing about the race. Look, we've got to understand that there's only one race, and it's the human race. There's only one race. The battle is the thing that's going on inside this human race. Yeah, would you agree? I mean, that's
that's right. There's only one race with different backgrounds. There's one race, like you said, the human race, but we all come from different backgrounds. But we are all separated for some strange reason. Like everyone looks at colour or country or where you come from, rather than looking at what you said, human race, coming from different backgrounds within the human race. Do you know what I mean?
So I do believe like we are one human race, but I feel also like the separation is kind of necessary for the fact that if, let's say we was all one colour, you wouldn't know who's your friend from your enemy. Does that make sense? And it's not to say that every other person who's not your race is your enemy. But for me, I don't think you'd be able to differentiate. You'd just be like, that's your brother, but because it's the same colour as you, when really stabbing you in the back. Does that make sense?
Can I just ask a question in relation to that? because I was reading something and it said, how many people would you be trying to impress if we were all blind? So for me, I hear what you're saying and I really appreciate it, but I just feel like if we remove colour, like if we can't see basically, we wouldn't judge people based on, okay, you're black or you're white or you're this or you're that. You would actually just not even judge a person, but take them as they are, simply by their energy, their confidence, or you know what I mean, their whole demeanour. So I feel like, yes, we kind of do need the separation, but at the same time, I feel like life would be better if we didn't have separation.
And we're all different. Doesn't matter what colour you are. We are all individuals. Do you get what I mean? So just because my sister, you know, she's black, but she could be completely different to me. Do you get what I mean? We can be blood and we're different. Do you get what I mean? So I think we should look at each other more as individuals rather than, you know.
Exactly. And the thing is, I mean, don't you think we have to do just that, what you're saying? Because the bottom line is, we didn't plan ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? The fact that we are different is because it was supposed to be. Yeah? And therefore we need to sort of assimilate in that, you know, and basically just get on with it, don't we? We can't
coexist, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. We're here. So, you know, what is that? What's this is one of the issues that we're trying to bring up. You know, what's our purpose on this planet? Sounds deep, but it's real, isn't it? What's our purpose? What's our mission? Why are we here? Are we here just to kind of float about and, you know, sort of meander here and there? What is the thing? Again, this is another aspect. As mentors, these are things that we kind of, you know, sort of divulge into, dip into, and, you know, attempt to motivate, inspire, encourage, you know, all those quips there to bring people's full potential to light, yeah? Obviously one of our quips is unlocking people's potential, but then how do we do it? Yeah, it's not about just talking at people, is it? It's about then receiving, hearing what other people are going to say, listening, you know, and so on. I just had a note that came from my phone that I was looking at there. It says, someone said something and saying, look, it takes a village to raise a child. I mean, we've all heard that, haven't we? Yeah? So, what's your take on that? 'Cause I want to go into this a little bit, yeah?
Well, like I said, I recently had my daughter, and it's true. I would say it's true because I think, you know, the child's gonna grow up, and then obviously you don't. It's not just obviously you've got the parents as the main people that are responsible for.
Sure.
But you're gonna send your child to school. Your child's gonna go to nursery. Your child's gonna go to other places where you hope the people that's going to be around that child is also going to nurture your child. Do you get what I mean? You don't want them to be in environments where it's not nurturing, it's not loving, it's not...
That's right.
Do you get what I mean? So I do think it takes literally a village, and I think also as a community, that's where we need to come together and look out for each other, older, younger, you know, do you know what I mean? Then
Definitely. I mean, full agreement.
Yeah.
So definitely agree. But for the like my own view is like for the village to raise the child, like you said, like initially we need to build gaps between generations, like for communication purposes. I say that because so without that, there's a lack of trust between generations. I've seen that personally.
Is that happening? Do you think that's the case right now?
Yeah, that's what I personally feel. There's a lack of communication. That lack of communication brings a lack of trust. So where there's a lack of trust, we've got the older generation going into the hands of those people. Then you've got the younger generation being swindled by those people, being sold a dream, and so on and so forth. Then there's no connection. Then in the end, it's like there's no ownership because you've been going to the people for the whole time.
Just chaos,
do you get what I'm saying?
And many people are actually lost.
Yeah. Facts.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's not even an age thing. Do you get what I mean? There can be people all 50 odd, whatever, and to just, you know.
I was going to say that relates back to what you said, Chola, about what's your purpose. This is something like, even myself, like I ask myself, I'm 22 and I say like, what is my purpose on earth? You know, like even when I'm doing my videography, I try and think like, okay, how does this relate to your purpose or your calling? But I think even that, like just making sure that other youths are like mindful of it, and just making sure that you're living within a purpose. Like when you're lost, unfortunately, you're just living. You're just at it. You're just living to get by. Like, and then in relation again to like the parents, with what Jade was saying earlier, they were just kind of brought up to just work.
That's right.
Work.
Yeah.
That's why they don't have the time. You work. Let's just say you're 9 to 5. Come home. Okay, you got to cook. You've got kids. You got to make sure they're up for school in the morning. Where is the time? You know what I mean? And well, there is time, but it's just about delegating that time accordingly. And I think also structure is something that I don't want to say as a community we lack, because I don't want to be too generic and deterministic. But I do think that's something we need to tap into.
Definitely.
Beyonce has the same 24 hours as us.
This is it.
That's,
This is it.
do you know what I
This
mean?
is
So
it.
yeah, I think if we can start changing that now, even if it's an hour, half an hour, spending with your
It's
daughter
about
or your
it's
son.
about the prioritising, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about prioritising. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Ali?
But it's
You
hard
got
to
it,
get it's hard to get people to listen when they're stuck in their ways. It's about everyone trying to come together and show an understanding. Once everyone can show an understanding, it doesn't matter about age. It's getting people to listen to each other,
Yeah.
and like you said, not talking down to people. Everyone's got a view and an opinion. So if you can hear everybody out, maybe that's where you bridge the gap as well. Like, rather than just talking at someone and
Trying to dictate.
people ain't gonna respect that. No one respects that. So
And-
it's about having an understanding.
And I think you're so right. Ali. I think this is one of the things that we trying to bring an air of difference to the table now, because one of them, I'm a keen fighter or campaigner is really for children. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather myself, and it's always this thing of not talking at, not dictating, not saying, right, this is the way, because this is what even my generation had coming up, and to a certain degree we were kind of stunted, and we said, look, now it's about putting it out there and let's receive. There's got to be give and take. There's got to be that give and take. You know, going back to that initial question about the village raising a child, I've always asked that question. Okay, but that's all well and good. It's good rhetoric saying that it takes a village to raise a child. But my question has always been, well, what kind of village? What type of village? Yeah, who are the elders of that village? What's the messages that they're sending down the line? Are they messages that are nurturing? Are they uplifting? Are they motivating? You know, are they extracting the gift out of the child? Because if they're not, then that village is going to be tainted, isn't it? That village is going to be in a total mess. Yeah.
Sorry, just in relation to what Jade was saying as well, I think is really important about, for example, sending off your child to school and hoping, that whole hoping, you know, there's areas of not actually being sure, so uncertainty. But that's why I think it's important that the nurture starts within the parent,
Yeah,
and it
definitely.
starts within the home.
Definitely.
If you train your child, I don't even want to say train, but educate, I should say, educate your child enough to let them know, actually, there's going to be some people that like you, some people are not going to, and you just have to accept that. Then when your child goes to school and they're faced with, let's say, a situation of, I don't want to say bullying, but something like, oh, you can't fit in. It's like in your child's head, well, my mum told me who I am and I know what I'm living for. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, oh, let's hope that the school is going to just jump in, because schools, you can't per se. Teachers are also getting paid.
Exactly.
They don't, not to say they don't care about their job, because it's a profession, but at the same time, it's all about money
Yeah.
when we think about it in retrospect. There's a lot of teachers, I guarantee, 55% don't actually care about their job.
They will tell you that.
Gonna get
They'll
the
tell
salary.
you that. They'll be
Literally.
like, oh, give me us a bake today. It's only my money.
Yeah.
So I think we need
It's a
to be
profession.
careful. I think as well, parents as well need to be careful. And okay, yeah, the environment, you can grow up in like the worst part in London, but that child could still come out good if you nurture that child in a way that, I just think it boils down to the parent, and it's always within the home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The first school is the home, isn't it?
Yeah.
The child's first school, any of our first school was the home. Yeah. We learnt to walk, we learnt to talk, we learnt to eat, we learnt to do all the basics at home, yeah? And then you have those cycles, don't you? Like, okay, we've heard it probably 0 to 7, you know, 7 to 14, 14 to 21. In that 0 to 7 stage, you know, if there isn't the discipline, the boundaries, and then the love in that first sector there's going to be fallout down the line. And so it's important, obviously, we said the first school is a home environment, isn't it? Yeah. You know? Anything to add to that?
No,
Not right now.
No, not right now, you're still mulling that over. But there's a lot though, isn't there? Seriously, that's why I keep saying, look, this whole concept that we're doing here, guys, is just great, because we can, you know, you said you didn't want to say certain things, Source, but we can say certain. You know what I mean? We can go deep. We've got to go raw because if we don't, things are still they're still stifled, aren't they?
Yeah. I was also going to say earlier, I think I got lost there because we was talking about
there's so much
the
swirling
discussion.
around.
There's just so much. But I was going to say in relation to like parents, a lot of parents, unfortunately, whether we want to agree or not, we can agree to disagree, have this kind of a negative connotation that what they know is best, and actually you can't force your child to go to uni if you didn't actually go yourself. How does that make sense? You haven't lived that experience. So I think, like what Jade was saying.
Sorry to cut you, but it's like you lived in my time. You're 22. It's like you were there when I was being told, look, you have to go and read this, you must do this, da-da-da-da. But
And
go on.
and I just think, as parents, I feel like if you're going to tell your child to do something, you must have done it yourself. Or you must have at least tried.
At least.
You can't say, okay, yeah, go to uni. How do you know? You haven't been, and you're in the situation you're in. I can't even take your word as my parent. You're not a role model, or how am I to, like you said, Calms, with trust. How am I meant to trust you if, you know what I mean? So I think, we need to tap into, I think, looking at the parents and then filter down throughout the generation.
And to be fair, I think more than anything, I think children, when they get to a certain age anyway, that they more watch what you're doing rather than listen
That's right,
to what you're doing.
Right,
listen to what you're saying. Do you get what I mean? Because I think it's more of a thing where a role model, like what I would say what a role model is I can see that, my mum or my dad is doing this. This is what I want to, do you get what I mean? Like, this is what I want to get into, or I want to do something around that you can see it's not far off. Do you get what I mean?
Show, isn't it? More
It's
than
not
tell,
far off.
yeah.
You know that if that person is doing something positive, I could do that. Like, I could be that, or like, and then it goes the other way as well. So if they're doing something negative, do you get what I mean? And then they think, like, and they might even aspire to be something negative because in the household or the person that is closest to them that they deem as their role model, do you know what I mean? They wanna, they thrive off of that.
Let me play advocate again on that then. So if someone's putting across, like you say, a negative role modeling experience, do you think that sometimes the fact that they're seeing that negative side, that can inspire and motivate someone to think, you know what, I don't want to be like that. This is what I'm seeing outside. Because sometimes the mentoring aspect doesn't always have to come from the parents. Sometimes it takes a third party, it takes an outside source to step in and, you know what I mean, and sort of guide that person away from what the environment they're actually living in. You agree with that?
Oh, sorry, Calms, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say that I was like, based on what Jade was saying though, was adding it to that like parents, especially the older generation, I'm gonna say, need to also take, like, no, I have to though, I have to, innit? So we build the communication. So, no, like, you need to take self-accountability for the wrongs and the mistakes that you guys have made, knowingly, like, because I know a lot of you
Knowingly
know.
stuff.
Knowing, you know, okay, we have failed here, but we're not gonna, like, apologise or
We've not
try
got our
and
hands up.
correct
Yeah.
it, because otherwise my child knows that I have been wrong, and do you know what I mean?
And that can be very damaging. Like, I've even experienced it where I would say, where certain adults might have behaved in a certain way, said something to me, they know it's wrong. I've confronted you and said, like, right, what was that about? Then it's a thing where, oh, I'm your elder.
your
I'm
elder.
your
Yeah, you need to
elder,
listen
so
to
I
me.
beg you
Okay,
just,
then.
do you get what I mean?
Okay,
For
then.
me, that's, it's already, like,
Switch off
it's a
from
done
there.
deal. Like, it's a done deal, because I think more than anything, we're human beings and we should be able to respect each other. Do you get what I mean? We're supposed to respect each other, and I just think wrong is wrong. With me, if I've done something wrong to someone that I care about, generally, I will apologise. Do you get what I mean?
Okay.
So,
all right, let me. I got to jump in again. I got to jump before you come in.
Okay.
It's because this thing. Okay, look. Do you think then that? Okay, when an adult, in the black culture, you're rarely gonna get an adult apologizing to a child. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just. This is the fact.
Yeah.
You're rarely gonna get that. So do you think that's a cultural thing whereby? Obviously, there's got to be mood. There's got to be healing from that. How does that change? How does that mindset? How do we reset the mindset of a generation that are used to doing that?
That's kind of hard.
How do we move forward? Do you think it's been a hindrance for us
definitely.
as a
Yeah.
people?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's raised different, so it's just like you're, say like from different backgrounds or different countries. So my mum was born in Jamaica. She came over here when she was 8, but my gran was very strict. When I went to Jamaica for 6 months with my gran, it was like she was a different person than when she was in England. And I started to see how, kind of showed me how my mum was kind of raised over there. Everything was strict. At one point I thought I weren't coming back because I had to go to school over there. And that. So I was thinking, wait.
How long were you out there?
6 months.
Okay.
Like, I was young though, so I was like, wait, have I been sent here because I've been bad or something?
Now we're going to come back to that bit. Yeah, don't remind me of that bit. Yeah,
So, but then you start to learn things. Obviously, you start to understand a bit more about. That's how I started to understand a bit more about that side of my culture and stuff like that. But the way my gran was, my mum doesn't realise, she doesn't like to admit it, but that's how she was with us. Like in terms of discipline, how she disciplined us, and not that we turned out bad or anything, but she was very hard on us at that. And she won't admit that she's like her mum. That's something she won't admit. Like, but I can see it. We can all see it, but she will never admit it. She will never admit that. Do you get me?
But do you think sometimes the kind of school of hard knocks, do you think sometimes it can be of benefit? Do you think it kind
to
of
a degree,
it
but there
sets you
should
up for future?
to a
I think
degree,
it
but there
depends
should
on
be
your
a balance.
individual
I
child.
think there should
Should
still
be
be
a
a
balance,
balance, because being
okay.
too strict can send a kid the wrong way. Like, do you know what I mean?
Definitely,
Like,
I was going to say in relation to that, kids can start wanting to rebel just for the simple fact of you being negative to them.
yeah.
So I think again, it's just having that, I would say conversational and positive, like even if you're having, let's say, a hard talk with them, like this is this, but also just say, okay, these are the options available to you.
Yeah.
How many youths can say, actually, yeah, when my parent talks to me, they talk with respect. Do you know what I mean? Or in a calm tone. You just come in from school. Why are you talking to your child like that? Like, it's funny, but
Before authority
when you
gets to
think-
their
like, talk to your kid with respect, or your child with respect. And again, with what you were saying, like with what Jade was saying earlier about confronting certain adults, there's some things that some black parents say, and it's like, you shouldn't say that. One, you're the bigger person, you should know better. One, and two, you should apologize. And I think this is why, like, even when this will obviously be a talk maybe later on, but when we look at crimes and stuff like that, people are not held accountable for their actions simply because, okay, my mum's always right, even though I know she's wrong, but because she can act like that, I can act like that too, and that's subconsciously instilled within us, and I feel like that's where the problem lies. But parents, again, won't admit it because it's like, I'm the parent, I want to be seen as good, but actually, just understand you can make mistakes, and you have, and you will as a parent.
I think
Do you know what I mean?
I think we're appreciating how all this is going, what we're hearing, and I believe it's all going to be it is part of a healing process because it needs to be released. It needs to come out. Look, when you have a scar, and you bear the scar, you open the scar, you let air get to it, you let it breathe. It heals quicker, doesn't it? But when it's concealed, and I think when it's concealed, it takes longer. It may scab over and whatever, and it's not really healed. But when it's aired out, when it's open, and I think to a degree, adults, elders need to kind of maybe bear some of those scars. Some of those emotional scars, financial scars, even scars that have where we've gone wrong, and be able to own up to them, confess them out. Doesn't have to be in a derogatory way. Doesn't have to be in a way that's going to not command or not get the respect of the children anymore. What I try and do with my children, I give them sort of pit stops of areas of my own life and show them that, look, I was young once. I made mistakes once. I did this once. I did that once. But you know what? I've grown up from it. And, we've got to show that we don't, things that you young people do now, we've done them all before. We've been there. But I think there's got to be that common, it all goes back to communication, doesn't it? It's all about communication. Whether it's good communication, whether it's bad communication, it's still communication. Even if you argue, even if you have a difference of opinion, it's still communication, isn't it? I think that is got to be the hub of everything. And this is why we're saying, okay, to talk real talk in the sense that solutions come out. Yeah. So how do we get the solutions then? Because we've kick-started like this now. It's got to come out on a kind of drip feed effect where we're doing this regularly, isn't it? Not just a one-off. How would you say going forward? How would you say that would roll out?
I think maybe we need to have more meetings like this, but in congregation, obviously, when the COVID's over and stuff. Like more generational meetings,
Yeah.
so grandparents,
Okay,
mother
yeah.
and father, then
Yeah.
children,
Brilliant,
and
yeah.
discuss how we can move forward. Do you know what I mean? Not
Good.
just
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. But
Yeah.
everyone needs to have their say.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
have to be just, okay, the elders speak, the youngers listen. Everyone
Definitely.
has their say. And
100%.
do it from a place of respect. I think if you do it from a place of respect, everything else should fall in line.
Definitely, yeah.
Place of love
Yeah.
and respect, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
just think also like practice on a daily. So
Mm.
like when I'm with my child, like when I'm with my daughter, you know, I tell her I love you, you know. Like, do you get what I mean?
Listen, that's that. You know
You
what?
know, from young, like
Yes,
that's
yes,
you're my
yes.
you're my child. Do you get me? You're my baby, like.
Mm.
But like, you know, I just think, and just show gratitude, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So if when you're talking to someone, you know, show them
Mm.
like that, mean it. I don't know, I don't know how to explain, but you know.
No, you see, I'm feeling what you're saying. I'm really feeling what you're saying. And as you're saying that as a female, I'm kind of bouncing it over now to Ali, because again, saying it in a certain way, like with the remember I mentioned you as a female, so Ali now as a male. You see, again in amongst black people, amongst our culture, men, guys, we don't. I'm sure you'd agree with me. We don't really
We
get
don't
that
talk-
kind of
yeah.
validation. We don't get that validation, do we?
No.
Look, how many times are we told? How many times were you told, "Look, son, I love you"?
Boy.
No, it's just
To
you know,
be
it's not.
fair, like I wouldn't say I never heard it,
Yeah.
but not from like it's not seen as a, I don't know why it's not seen as a masculine thing, but I wouldn't say I've never done that with my son. I say it to him, say it to my daughters. It's not, I don't see it as a demasculine thing to be open like that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like why would you not say it? But
Because,
you're right.
because
you're
it's
right.
expected. It's expected. Look, because you're a guy,
You don't talk.
you
like
don't
that.
need it. You haven't got any feelings.
Yeah.
You don't cry. You don't. You know, you're not feeling anything. So you don't need to be told things like that. And we do. We're still. You know what I mean? Men cry too.
We feel.
Yeah. There's a
Right.
certain gentleman.
We was
Hopefully.
kind of talking about the Offset.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
you get me?
There's a certain gentleman. Hopefully, he wrote a book called that. Men Cry Too. I think you know
Cry
the
like
book.
a man.
Yeah, or Cry Like a Man, sorry. Yeah, we're going to hopefully get this gentleman onto the set with us, because it's a powerful concept. And it was just in relation to what you said there, Jade, in terms of bringing up your daughter and telling her that you love her from young. Men also need, because when we get that validation from young, it starts to build up, it starts to compound. If you don't have it, all the way through coming up, you're going to be thinking, right, well, I can do this, and I can. Most of the time, you can't, because you know what I mean. You know, you hit a spot where it's, you know, you sort of go off the rails and whatever, you know. But just digressing slightly, just a bit. I think you mentioned as well, Source, about this trust thing. And I remember a few years ago, you know, when I'm sure we remember the London riots. Yeah,
Yeah.
Remember the London riots 2011. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I was part of that team that took a crew out into Clapham, some of the hot spots. I think Clapham was one of them, Croydon was another one. And I remember sort of, you know, just talking to young people randomly. I was like, look, you know, what's the issue? What has caused this? Why are you out here? And I remember speaking to a young guy, an English guy, and he was almost in tears. In fact, he was in tears. And he was expressing that, look, we've just been lied to. You know, we've gone and done what you've asked us to do. Yeah, what the system has told us to do, what the authorities, government, school, parents and whatever. I've gone to uni, I've graduated, I'm now 20, 30k in debt, I've got no job, I've got no prospect, I feel like I've got no future. And I'm not saying that that's condoning the reason why you should come up and now want to mash up the place, but the frustration was boiling over. And it just cements this whole thing that we're talking about now in terms of trust and what is being filtered out to you. What's the nurturing aspect that, you know, that you're receiving? You know, what is it that's going to make you want to go out there and achieve your purpose? What is it that's going to make you go out and achieve your goal? We can have all these plans, all these steps to achieve. It's all good to say them, but then how did they actually get put into place? Yeah, those small steps. How do we achieve the small steps in the goal? And it all comes down again, doesn't it, to, you know, to talking and just, as you said, they're talking in a, you know, in a respectful manner. Yeah. So look, going back to our people, our culture, black people, the black community, you know, we're going to be unapologetic in moving forward on this, yeah? And we've been blessed with the opportunity really to team up with one of the forums, the BME forum in Croydon, I think you guys know, where we've been invited to do a couple of slots, as part of the Black History workshops. And we're just going to bounce this idea out to you, get some feedback. So what it is, we're looking at now possibly doing, having, say, 6 or 7 young people from Caribbean descent, yeah, from the different islands, and then 6 or 7 from African countries, yeah, and then just bringing that together, bringing that setup together, and then seeing having a discussion like this and seeing, what the issues are, how we can relate, how we can get deep into some certain areas. And then I think we've got a second date, because I've said again, look, one date is not enough, so they've agreed that they've given us another date. And I thought, okay, that might be good then to put it so we have, again, the 7s, but now from the adults. And then we join the whole thing together, as you were just saying there, Ali, to join the adults and the parents together. Any ideas, any move from that? Do you think that's something that could achieve something or make any movement?
I personally think it would, simply because obviously you've got a differentiation in terms of countries. I would also kind of look at class as well. Okay. And like maybe income, because obviously that can have an effect, I think, on a child as well. They say like lower socio-economic backgrounds, obviously the crime rates are higher, and then maybe tapping into that, because not every black person is violent, not every black person is into crime and knife crime. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of black businesses out there that have established themselves by raising their own capital, but I think this conversation needs to be had with different backgrounds, different countries, and then different social economical backgrounds, and then we can kind of see, okay, where's the problem? Because like maybe as well as mentors, we can pair up somebody who's from I don't want to say upper class, but from a higher social economical background, and then training these young people. So it's actually, you can at 18 years old open a business, and it can be very successful. Definitely. You may not get the help via big organizations, not to say any names, but that's okay. And there's actually things out there for you. So I think just having these conversations and being unfiltered.
Brilliant. Perfect.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
What do you think? Karma?
So Karma, how would you contribute to that? If you were on that panel now, for example, what would be one of the things that you'd bring into?
I feel like we need more hubs where we fundraise personally, so that we can obviously raise money, and then every, let's just say year and a half, going back to the kids that don't really have much or whatever, we can say, cool, if you've got this idea, and as long as obviously their head's screwed on enough or whatever, and we see that they're serious, we can say, cool, this much has been raised for you, we're gonna let you run with that. Obviously we're gonna like help you, do you know what I mean? Not leave you and just throw you out into the sea alone. I think we need to do more of that.
Because it's tangible stuff, isn't it? People want to see, people want to actually feel that they've got something, rather than just talk about it and then not really see it. Exactly. So it's tangible, sort of real things coming through. So yeah, definitely. Okay. So what would you say now in terms of, let's look at our own, not going to go too personal, but maybe some of our own personal experiences of where we've not been allowed to excel because of the colour of our skin. Any sort of instances where you've actually, felt a direct kind of prejudice and a direct discrimination?
For me personally, I'll start off. I would say, obviously I'm a freelance videographer. I've applied to like loads of internships. Obviously we're in unprecedented times because of COVID, so I'm not going to take it too personal. But then me actually applying for that job and putting my ethnicity, it's kind of like, am I being blacklisted because of the colour of my skin? But then I just feel like, even just training myself now, even now it's kind of like challenging. I wouldn't say hard, but it's kind of like, actually, there's always a way. So like, I think even having like talks and discussions like this, this can open up many opportunities. Like for example, I've even met the camera team, amazing, like, brilliant. And that's gaining experience. So I think
Well, you were one of the crew. You were part of the actual setup when we came in. So
No, it's
Okay.
been proper good and proper lit,
Yeah.
and I've learned so much just by being here. So I think
Yeah.
understanding your time will come.
Mm.
You don't have to wait around because you can still be proactive
Mhm.
and productive, but take every opportunity. Be an
Definitely.
opportunist.
Definitely.
And I think it's a
Good.
give and take thing. So it's not just okay, you take. You
Mm.
give, you take. It's a two-way thing.
Mm.
But yeah, for me, I'm not taking it personal. It's like you don't know what child missing, so it's okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
I'll just say stay positive. To the youth at home, stay positive. Keep your head grounded. Like things will fall into place.
Good. Good advice. Good advice. Jade.
Me personally, have I been? I wouldn't say that I've been, what's that word, knowingly discriminated against because of my race. I wouldn't say I would say like it's been in a direct thing where you're black, you're not getting this. But I would say that I remember I said that I used to work before I had my daughter. I worked as a probation officer.
Okay.
And working in that environment, sometimes I would say you can feel, I don't know what the word is, I couldn't explain it, but you can feel the dynamic of
Okay.
the whole
Okay.
thing. So, you know, there's many black people working in probation,
Mhm.
but they are mostly probation officers and probation service officers. So they're the people that's doing the groundwork. Do you get
So
what I
there's
mean?
no policy making sort of
Yeah,
setups. they're
yeah,
not- yeah.
so-
yeah.
But don't get me wrong, you've got black managers as well. That so people that would manage the team. But when it comes to like the policy makers, and then when you've got people coming from outside, we're having big meetings.
Mhm.
They're all white. They're all. Do you know what I mean? They're all, you know. And then I also worked in court. One of my roles was working in court. And then you just, from the jump, the dynamic, you know that this place is not, that's not,
Not for
you know where you're supposed to be going. You're lucky
Yeah.
you're not there, but do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, straight away. Even from, as a probation officer, when the judge is talking to you, you know, you can feel that, you can feel it, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? And I wouldn't say it's like, yeah, it's not direct. It's that systematic.
It's there. It's systemic. Yeah. It's
thing that people talk
systemic.
about.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
I mean, look. You see, we should again. We said, look, we're going to be unapologetic about these issues. You know, some people want to shrink back and think, no. People say, oh, you know, you've got a chip on the shoulder. No, look. I'll give you a quick story. Years and years, many moons ago, I remember as a young boy growing up. This young boy again, and you know, my father had come in. He used to work for the civil service. Very well educated man, you know, was a headmaster and so forth in Nigeria. Come back here. No, he went to work for the civil service, and his name, this was about the name now, and they said, well, do you mind if we call you George? Right? And you know, my dad's name was Boyega, and they said, well, we want to call you George.
Right.
So my dad said, well, I said, well, why would you want to call me George? And they said, well, because we can't pronounce your name. And he said, well, okay, look, you can call me George then, if I can call you Peter. And meanwhile, this guy's name was John, you know. So I was like, why would you want to call me Peter when my name's John? So my dad said, well, why would you want to call me George when I've already told you my name? You know what I mean? So it was that this whole thing of, you know, this understanding that, look, you know, this is me, this identity thing again, that we've really got to, you know, hold on to it and not, you know, not let it be sort of washed away. As I said, educated, knew his stuff, knew what he was doing, but moving up the sort of echelons of promotion or whatever, never being able to move from a certain level within the civil service, even though being more qualified,
Yeah.
you
more
know,
competent, yeah.
and more competent,
Yeah.
you know, than his bosses. So it's there, and that's like, I'm going back 40 years ago, you know, and we're having the same thing today, aren't we? Really, that's the reality.
For me though, like, I'll be honest, innit? My discrimination's a bit different.
Go on.
So
Tell us.
when I'm
Yeah.
around like other people or whatever,
Yeah.
I get more brought in because I'm lighter skinned.
Yeah, we're
Do you
gonna
get what I'm
touch-
trying to
yeah,
say,
go on,
to be
that's
fair,
another,
innit?
yeah, that's
Whereas-
another, yeah.
if I'm gonna bring, like, I'm fully black.
So you're talking like this is a colorism.
Yeah, like I'm
thing,
fully
yeah.
black. Both of my parents are black.
Right.
But if I'm bringing one of my darker friends on, like
Yeah.
a little works that I get for opportunity,
Yeah.
sometimes I know to the people that I'm going to them it looks
Mad.
like you know, like do you know what I mean?
Who
And,
you got with ya?
and then in my head I'm
There's
just like,
issues out
bro,
there,
why is
yeah.
there a problem? Like we're genuinely the same color just because you see the lighter tone, you think I'm more like you, but I'm actually nothing like you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
I was going to say in relation to that, that's actually really good because, well, not good, the situation,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think in your stance, or the position that you hold, you can then kind of educate
Yeah.
those others that actually know this person is cold at what they do,
of course.
and actually I brought them for a reason, and you're not going to disrespect them because I stand for that person. Do you know what I mean?
100.
So I feel like it's again having accountable
Yeah.
idols, or I don't want to say idols, but individuals that can actually stand up and be like, no, actually, and that all boils back to like our own people and just putting
And
our,
loving
That's
yeah,
it.
and loving each other.
exactly.
Like,
I'm going to just jump in again on that point again. Now,
Yeah.
look, our own, isn't it? Because even though we talk about discrimination and whatnot outside of our own, look, say it now, we have a big issue within.
Yeah.
You just sit there, the colorism thing, and so forth. I remember years ago at school, again, I'll give another one of my little stories, you know, full Nigerian name in school, mid-70s, and when it was time to read the register, I used to be like, what? Because the teacher would always mispronounce my name,
yeah.
right? But the thing is, the laughter didn't come from the non-black people. It came from my own
Yeah,
the people that look like me.
Yeah.
You understand? So you get to see that, you know, the problem that we have within, and we can't start repairing the stuff that's out when the inner stuff isn't healed. It's not, you know what I mean? We've not made an inroad into those areas.
How are you
Yeah.
gonna get certain other people to respect you when your own people don't respect you?
that,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's true.
So it's just
So we've got to raise the bar. I'm saying we need to start doing things in a much more sophisticated way, in a much more, you know what I mean, much more planned out way, you know, more corporate way. Shows the kind of levels, you know, and the kind of esteem and the richness and the heritage that we definitely have. That's much sought after. And I said, like, I'm just happy and excited about that we've got, you know, a setup like this, so vibrant. You know, there's a lot more to come out, you know, out of what we're discussing. There's so many pockets. It's like Pandora's box. You know, you peel off one layer, another one there, and so forth. So there's going to be so much going on. Yeah. So look, we're going to put a little bit of a shout out now for the workshops that we're going to do. 24th and the 31st of this month. Black History Month, but we're talking about doing a 365 24/7 basis. But when we do the thing with BME Forum, you know, we're just asking people to jump onto our handle, the Instagram handle, Real Talk 24/7, yeah, or to drop us a line, realtalk0247 @gmail.com. It's Real Talk 24/7. Sorry, realtalk0247 @gmail.com. Give us a word. We want to bring people in. We want to bring viewers in. We want to bring people in. Put your names down. Be part of this panel. Be part of this healing, this intergenerational healing facet, so that we can move forward as a people. Yes. So look, guys. Thank you. We'll be back again soon to discuss. I'm sure. There's still a lot bubbling away in this, isn't there? So, yeah. Great to have you. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That's that real talk. It's time to heal. Nothing but the truth. We got